Hello and welcome. Are you curious to know what a technical interview for a data analyst role looks like? Then you are in the right place. This is the second of a 4-part video series, and we'll be looking at a data set that is focused on healthcare activities. We'll simulate the type of analytical challenges one might be faced with in a job application scenario. You can be sure that this is the kind of technical test that you might be faced with when applying for a data analyst role. So if you're ready to continue on this journey, let's get started. Welcome back. If you are just joining us in this series, please note that we had a part 1 to this discussion, and in the first part of this discussion we looked at the first 4 questions in this test, in this sample data analyst technical test. It would be nice if you start from watching that video so you could see how we came across question 1, 2, 3, and 4. The answers to question 1, 2, 3, and 4. That said, let's jump right into question 5. So, what is the average cost? So like before, let's identify the key elements, the keywords within our question. So, what is the average cost? Take that down. Average cost for medical oncology in 2020. So average cost for medical oncology in 2020. Just like before, we have our master data set, and we can just right click, go to move, create a copy, press that it goes to end, say OK. You can call this Q5. And we're looking at the average cost for medical oncology in 2020. We could actually do this directly without even creating a pivot table. So filter medical oncology, medical oncology, yeah, and then in 2020, and then we want to look at the average cost. This is the cost. That is the average cost for medical oncology in 2020. Without a pivot table, just using filters, we can find the answer of that. So we looked at medical oncology and we've seen average cost 2020. So just by selecting this entire cost, the cost, now that we've filtered out medical oncology and the financial year 2020, we can just look at the costs. Just by selecting this column, we can see that the cost here is 2,165.10. And just like before, by double clicking, it has been saved into the clipboard. And so when I come here, I can just paste value, and it's there, 2,165.10. We could double check our answer by using an Excel formula. Equals average, and select everything from start to the end, close bracket, enter. It should give us the same value. We have a difference in the averages here, because if you had followed us in our previous videos, I mentioned that it's very, very important to sort your values either in ascending or descending order, because if you don't do that, when you select, there are spaces in between and it counts. And of course, we remember that an average is simply the sum of numbers divided by the number of numbers. In this case, the sum of numbers here is 106,090 divided by the sum of numbers divided by the count of numbers, which is 49. However, this is giving us a different value because there are spaces in between. We did not filter this before our calculation. So let me just delete that and then run through that again. So take out the filters and then ascending order, then we're looking at medical oncology, and we're looking at, let's plot this as well, A to Z. We're looking at 2020. Is that correct? Let's look at the question. So we're looking at medical oncology in 2020. So I've pulled out medical oncology 2020, but this time around I sorted it before pulling it out, so that when I now search for the average using the formula average, and I'll take from the first value here, first to the last value there, close bracket and hit enter, you see that I have the same value. So that's something else to look out for, and I explained it in the part 1 of this series, that when you are filtering, it is good practice to ensure that you either arrange your values in ascending or descending order, just so you don't have spaces in between. The spaces we had earlier was why we had different values here and here. That's 2165.10. On to question 6. How does the cost distribution, and let's pick our keywords here. We're looking at cost distribution, and we're looking at how it varies across different ethnic categories for plastic surgery in 2022. Yes, we had actually done something similar in yes, that was it. Question number 2. How does cost distribution vary across ethnic categories for emergency medicine? This is a little similar, but now instead of activity months, we are looking at the financial year 2022. So let's jump into the question. And like before, let's create a new data set so that we preserve our master data. So move straight down, create a copy, and then we have that, and I can call this Q6. Enter. Like I said earlier on in previous videos, this data set that we're working with, I will make it available for you to download. A link where you can download it will be in the description below. There'll be a link in the description below, so you can download this data set, so you can play around with it and do your own analysis for that test. So Q6, we are looking for the cost distribution across different ethnic categories for plastic surgery in 2020. So one of the first things I want to do is create a pivot table. It makes it easier for us. So select A to J, then Command Shift down or Control Shift down if you're using a Windows. I can go to Insert, Pivot Table, and just keep things really tidy for us, I will just keep it in the existing worksheet, this same worksheet I'm working with, and I'll just select a cell within this worksheet to add my pivot table. So I'll select this cell, say OK. Now we're looking at cost distribution across various ethnic categories. So ethnic categories come to roles, and take forward a little so you see that. So ethnic categories come to roles, then cost comes into values, and we are looking at treatment specialty in filters and also financial year in filters. For the treatment specialty, we are looking at plastic surgery in 2022. Question 6. So I'll just look at plastic surgery. That's plastic surgery. Take out the select all. Plastic surgery in 2022. Just 2022. So now I'm looking at the cost distribution for plastic surgery in 2022. Now some of these values have 4 decimal places. I'm not a fan of things that are just all over the place, so you can reduce this to probably about 2 decimal places. Select all and reduce the decimal places to 2 decimal places. maximum. That's our sum of costs. So the question once again is, how does the cost distribution vary across different ethnic categories? Plastic surgery, we have our answer. That's plastic surgery 2022 cost. Just to keep it neat and tidy like before, just right click here, sort and say largest to smallest. We have that. And we can just create a trend line. We used a trend line in the previous part, the first part of this. Let's see if we can use something else. Let's set a bar chart of use a. This is going to represent a time. Now I think it will still help us to use a trend chart would actually, trend lines will actually look better. Trend lines will look a lot better. So we can see the trend. So you can see, just like before, we can edit our charts just to give it more meaning. So total becomes cost variation. So cost variation across ethnic categories. Yes, cost variation across ethnic categories. And then on our X and our Y axis, to edit that, just go into design, and we can change our axis title. Our primary horizontal, remember horizontal is your X axis. Our primary horizontal, we can call this ethnic categories. And on our Y axis, which is our vertical, we can call that our vertical is our cost. Just include it as cost. So this is how the cost varies across ethnic category. Yeah. On to question 7. Question 7. What is the total cost incurred by meal? So we're looking again at total cost. Total cost incurred by meals for clinical hematology in 2022. So just like before, let's preserve our master data, create a copy, create a copy, allow this to go to the end, and we'll call this Q7. Enter. So some of the things we are looking at here, let's consider if we need to create a pivot table, we can use just filters. Total cost, meals, clinical hematology in 2022. Yes, we can use filters, quickly filters for this. So Q7, just like before, remember, let us arrange in ascending or descending order. Then we'll pick out just the male. Pick out females, so I left it just not specified because we just want male. And then we're looking at clinical ascending order again. We're looking at clinical hematology. And then we're looking at, what year was that? 2022. We're looking at 2022. Now the question is to find our, no, look at that. Let me take out this filter, and that's because we didn't sort it or taking it out, just to avoid error. And the question is to find the total cost incurred by meals for clinical hematology in 2022. So the total cost is now this value, entire value, and here it's 79,503. Double click. Just like before, if I wanted to use an Excel formula, I'll just go equal to sum, and the sum of everything here, close bracket and click. And as you can tell, it's the same, 79,503. So that is the total cost incurred by males for clinical hematology. And there you have it. This is the kind of technical interview you can expect to be faced with when applying for a data analyst role. Feel free to go over this and any of the other videos in this series, and if you would like us to cover any concept that has been discussed, kindly leave a comment below. If you found this content useful, consider subscribing if you haven't, so you can get notified when new videos drop. You should also consider liking and sharing this video. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.